Hey everybody, I am working on making the steering axle for my hit or miss engine cart for my 4.5 horsepower United. I welded up the spindles into the axle tubes and ground off the welds a little bit. I have holes drilled for cotter pins, so both axles are ready to go. And all I did, I measured the length, halved it, found the width and halved that, and scribed it and put a center punch there. That's where the pivot's going to be. This is the pivot axle, and here I have a 3/4 inch by 4 inch long bolt, grade 2, nothing special, and a 3/4 inch hole saw. And I'm going to drill the pivot hole through this axle tube. If I wanted to, I could drill an oversized hole and put a tube in, so this pivot bolt is sliding against the whole surface of the tube rather than just each wall of this square tube. But I'm not going to do that. I think it'll last plenty long as it is without wearing out and making the hole oval. So I'll put a 3/4 inch hole. Oops. Put a 3/4 inch hole in this axle tube. Alright, got this in the drill press. Axle tube is firmly clamped into my vise, and I have ensured that when the hole saw cuts through the bottom of the tube, it's not going to hit my vise. There is a slot in the bottom of the vise. Make sure you use plenty of lubrication. And I have my drill press set on the slowest speed, which I still think is too high. But I have it set at 500 RPM. It's always a good practice to pack lubricate. There's one side. I'm going to make sure that the bolt fits well. Looks good. It's got a little bit of play, but that's on the threaded part. This part is a little wider. So this hole saw is long enough to go all the way through. Otherwise I'd have to flip it around. And we're through. See how she fits. That's pretty good. It's a little bit of side to side, but that's no big deal. You're really not going to notice it. Alright, on to the next step, drilling a hole through the cart itself. Alright, using a tape measure and a sliding square, I found the center of this cross piece on my frame. And this cross piece is where the axle is going to be mounted. And I made some marks. I made a center punch mark. Now I'm ready to drill it. I'm using a hand drill this time. Obviously I can't get the drill press on this. Be careful using a hole saw on a hand drill. They can be pretty torquey and can twist your wrist around. Remember not to go too fast, you'll just burn up the saw. Alright, finally got that hole through there. The bolt fits well. Now I'm going to do a quick test fit. And here's the last part of the steering axle. I just brought this outside and mocked it up. Pretty basic. I just ran the bolt through, put 2 washers on there, and I double nutted the bottom so I can tighten the nuts but still have some play so the axle can steer. I was going to have a larger plate instead of that washer and put a grease zerk in there so I can grease it and so it can pivot easily. But I think this works fine. I don't need to go through the trouble of making a large pivot plate. And if I do have a problem with it in the future, I'll just take off those nuts, take out those washers, and put a plate in. But I think this is an easier alternative. You can't see it, and it looks good. So that's all there is to it for the steering axle. Thanks for watching. Come back for more.